So, yeah, they care about prices stabilizing. All right. Speaking of America and the Burger Reich undermining American democracy, once again, Mahmoud Khalil's case should be moved to New Jersey. The judge rules. Okay, let's take a look.
Mahmoud Khalil's case to New Jersey. He is a Columbia University graduate detained by the government over his participation in pro-Palestinian demonstrations. Alice Gaynor covers courts and is here now with more details.
Cindy, the government wanted the case to play out in Louisiana. Mahmoud Khalil wanted it in New York. Simply put, the federal judge in the Southern District of New York said Khalil filed his petition in the wrong district through no fault of his own. Khalil's attorney, the judge noted, was relying on information made available by the government at the time about his location.
You're going to be under arrest, so turn around.
On March 8th, ICE took Mahmoud Khalil into custody at Columbia University campus housing and brought him to a New York field office. He was eventually transported to a detention facility in Elizabeth, New Jersey, then flown to Louisiana. A federal judge in the Southern District of New York ruled that because Khalil's attorney filed a petition on his behalf at 4:40 a.m. while detained in New Jersey, a straightforward application of the District of Confinement and Immediate Custodian rules therefore dictates that Khalil's petition should have been filed in the United States District Court for the District of New Jersey, not in this court. Khalil's petition questions the detention of the green card holder who is married to an American citizen. The judge noted in the order, many of the facts in this case are hotly contested. Khalil's petition, the judge says, depicts him as an outspoken but peaceful leader of student protests held at Columbia University against Israel's actions in Gaza since the atrocities of October 7th, 2023, and that the government, by contrast, describes Khalil as leading activities aligned to Hamas, siding with terrorists, and a threat to the foreign policy and national interests of the United States. On Face the Nation Sunday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was asked repeatedly if there was any evidence of a link to terrorism.
I'm asking about the specific justification for the revocation of his visa. Was there any evidence of material support for terrorism?
Was the negotiator negotiating on behalf of people that took over a campus, that vandalized buildings? Negotiating over what?
A French researcher was detained on arrival in the U.S., his computer and phone confiscated and searched, and his text criticizing Trump cuts to scientific research were deemed by DHS agents as a hatred of Trump that could be described as terrorism. He was deported the next day. According to a diplomatic source to the AFP, the incident occurred on March 9th. The space researcher was reportedly subject to a random check upon arrival, during which his work computer and personal phones were searched. The same source also reported that messages discussing the Trump administration's treatment of scientists were found. He was reportedly accused of messages that reflect hatred toward Trump and can be described as terrorism. His professional and personal equipment was reportedly confiscated, and the researcher was sent back to Europe the next day. According to another source briefed on the case to AFP, the French researcher was accused by the American authorities of hateful and conspiratorial messages. He was reportedly informed of an FBI investigation for which charges were dropped, the source continued. I'm telling you right now, it's already happening, and I've been saying that. It's being mean to Trump is terrorism, okay? But hey, guess what, dude? There's a high bar, right? To let people into this country. If you have mean thoughts about Trump, good luck. You can't come into the country. Yeah, based. I don't want someone who doesn't like my glorious leader to be in the country. Based. You're a non-citizen. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. That's what I say. Yeah. Well. If you don't like the president, then you can't come into the country. That's right. Based. I love free speech, by the way. Except unless it's non-citizens who think mean thoughts about Trump, then I don't like free speech. Yeah. Fuck around and find out. How dare you? How dare you think mean thoughts about my glorious president? I'm a centrist. Apoliticals rise up. Just common sense. Yeah. Just doing my common sense. Yeah. We have enough troublemakers in the country. That's terrorism. Why? I've decided it was. It's the case. It's the case. It's good stuff. If you don't like it, just change the law. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Should have taken a fucking big-ass gulp out of my Dr. Pepper, extra large Dr. Pepper in between.
That's a crime in and of itself, that they're involved in being the negotiator, the spokesperson, this, that, the other. We don't want it. We don't need these people in our country.
In a letter dictated by phone from the detention facility in Louisiana, Khalil described himself as a political prisoner, that the Trump administration is targeting me as part of a broader strategy to suppress dissent.
Here's the article in French. United States, French researcher expelled by Le Monde. French researcher expelled for expressing a personal opinion on the policies pursued by the Trump administration. This is the article. Le Monde. Le Monde. Ouais. Yeah. Why don't you speak American?
So it will be up to the court in New Jersey to consider Khalil's motions, like the motion to transfer him from Louisiana to a detention facility in this district and a motion for release on bail. Cindy.
Alice, thank you. And stay with CBS News New York for any new developments in this case. Look for our previous reports on our website, cbsnewyork.com.
President Trump, he says that he made progress in the efforts to end the war in Ukraine. In a long phone call yesterday with Vladimir Putin, the Russian leader did not agree to Trump's 30-day ceasefire proposal supported by Ukraine. Instead, Putin made his own proposal as both.
I work at a Big Ten uni. We've been having our foreign students having their phones at uni own PC confiscated. Trump also pulls them 100 million following. Wait, what? Isn't your America fucks one singular thing is free speech? Okay. I need you to understand something. Historically speaking, free speech has never really been afforded to radical leftist, socialist, communist movements in this country. If you want to fight for civil liberties for black people, no free speech for you. We'll assassinate you. If you do anti-war protests, no free speech for you. We'll do Kent State. So there are plenty of examples like the Red Scare, McCarthyist trials, all that stuff, where people have been falsely imprisoned for speech. People have been blackballed and blacklisted by the federal government for free speech. Having said that, however, this is a continuation of that proud American tradition, and a continuation of that tradition in a way that is truly devastating. Because if you look at, the past 20 years, if you look at 2001, in the aftermath of 9/11, obviously the American government, actively undermined free speech, free expression, free demonstration, all that stuff against Muslims in general as it was doing the war on terror. But this now, like the stage that we have arrived at now is basically punishing people for thought crimes. Like the way that you understand silly ass dictatorships to operate, both in movies and also in the real world. This is like we are officially now in the pocket of straightforward fascism. Like that's when you start claiming that like people that are peacefully protesting are terrorists and offering material support for terrorists. When you start claiming that people who have said, I don't like the way Donald Trump is cutting funding for research, that is an act of terror that bars you entry into the United States of America. When all of that, when stuff like that is being considered terrorism, which is used as a catch-all term to violate people's due process, to violate people's free speech. At that stage, you're officially done. We're and I said this a couple months back. If you remember, I was talking about how As American power, I tweeted about it as well, if someone can find it. As American power on the global stage wanes, you will see how little they care about free speech. This is partially the reason why it's happening, because American power is falling apart. America can only present itself as having free speech because it's been the hegemonic superpower, right? And the less stable the United States of America gets, the worse, the more aggressive the American government will get in terms of stamping out any sort of protest, any sort of dissent. And this will eventually move in the direction that you saw with Recep Tayyip Erdogan as well. Does anyone have that tweet of me calling this out a while back in terms of like suppressing speech? Maybe someone have found it. Weak dick, no motion fascism. Oh, here, yeah, this is it. As U.S. hegemony ends, you will see limitations of free speech in more egregious ways. You only get to have limited permissible critique when you're the only dominant power in the world. There was always a limit to free speech, Red Scare, civil rights, BDS. Now that limit's over. There it is. Thank you for finding it. I'm going to retweet this. I'm going to like my own tweet and retweet it. So you're saying we're fucked and there's little hope? No, mass mobilization will occur, I think. That's what I'm relying on. That's what I'm hoping for. So far, though, the liberal opposition has not done anything to mobilize. Self-like and self-tweet like biblical pride. Listen, man, if I cooked so hard back then, I'm gonna like my own tweet. I'm like, damn, I cook right there. All right. All right. So, getting back to the situation here. Oh, in terms of free speech restrictions, of course, Ben and Jerry